same jig as a classic, 5/8 War Eagle Jiu-Jitsu, and then mixing a vibrating jig in as well.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening again. Michael and Dano here with yet another episode of Bucks Island on Tour. What is it, 8?
I believe it's 8.
Or I don't know. I'm starting to get to the point where I have trouble counting that high. So, but again, it's been fun. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I edit it. So, but guys, as always, we're trying to pull, the tackle that's discussed, trying to pull all that stuff together, and we've got it linked up so you can go check it out on our website. And that's all I got to say about that. So go check that out. We'd appreciate you certainly taking a look at what we've got for sale on Shop Bucks Island, or just come on in the loft and we'll help you find what you need. The other thing I wanted to get out of the way is I don't think we've really talked about, since we're talking about tournaments, we're doing a kayak tournament.
Yep.
April has been the first one, and we're almost done. For those of you not familiar, I won't get into a bunch of details, but basically it goes from the 1st of the month to the 20th of the month. You can fish any body of water that's publicly accessible, and if it's illegal to fish with an Alabama fishing license. So if you're down in Mobile, you can go fish in our tournament. Yeah, I think right now we had 49 guys signed up, $25 entry. Just the big fish alone is $490 payout.
So I meant to ask you, if I trim the big motor up, can I fish out of my kayak?
Well, if you take a catch board,
Technically it could be a kayak because it doesn't have power.
Yeah,
right?
so
it's just a really big kayak.
We do have some rules. But hey, if you took a kayak with you on the back of your boat and you catch that winning fish and drop it in the water, no, we don't want to. Nobody cheat. But the other option would be just to try fishing out of a kayak.
Yeah, flop.
Well, one of these days.
Stand up so you can pitch.
But I think guys have been having a lot of fun with that. So if you are into the kayak fishing stuff, we're not trying to build the next big kayak tournament trail. It's just something fun for our community of customers, and
something to give back to our customers and our friends. Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun so far. Yeah, go check that out. So that'll be monthly. So you'll have to get registered. So we'll have one coming up in May, and we'll start all over. Yeah.
Prizes.
Oh yeah. Tons of good stuff. Go check that out. So let's get to the good stuff.
Not that that's bad stuff.
No,
that's fun stuff.
But what do we normally? How did this all come about? This past weekend, you got a little short trip.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go too far.
No.
Just up the road to Chick,
Dayton, Tennessee. Stayed at Blue Water RV.
Okay, so
Blue Water Resort and Marina. About 3 miles from Dayton Boat Docks.
What did you see while you were there?
Bassmaster Elite Series, and it was a weird one.
Weird. All
well,
right.
Here's what it is. We're in April. Normally in April we have nice, warm, shorts weather. You're starting to see.
In all fairness, you may catch this guy in shorts.
Yeah, well, I'm talking to everybody else. I mean, you might actually even see some swimsuits and wakeboarders, and that stuff starts to happen around now, right?
Yeah.
And then you get those occasional, Alabama twister type storms that come through. But for the most part, it's consistent temperature wise, and the fish can start doing what they're doing. Here's the thing that was weird. Most of our rivers are still at winter pool because there's been so many storms come through that they're compensating for the water level that may come in. The temperatures have been wildly inconsistent. On takeoff, 2 of the mornings, it was in the 30s at Chick. It snowed on the anglers on Saturday.
Really?
Yes. It snowed on some of them. So it was, I'll put it to you this way. Here's how I judge my comfort levels. Most of the time I'm in shorts. Most of the time I'm in my flip-flops. Thursday, I was in flip-flops.
Okay.
Friday, I was in tennis shoes, my shorts, but I had on a sweatshirt and my puffer vest.
Okay.
Same thing on Saturday. And then Sunday, I was in shirt sleeves and flip-flops again.
All right.
So the weather went 60s, 40s, 50s, 70, high 70s.
How did that affect the fishing?
Well, the fish were up, but what happens is because the water level is not up to full pool, they haven't made their waves to spawn yet, which is also incredibly unusual. We saw everything from wacky rigs around docks to big, glide baits to spinner baits, chatter baits. We saw people catch 20 pounds, our own Matt Heron, and he's still kind of, I talked to him yesterday, he's still kind of going, I don't know what happened, but he was in like 6th place after day 1.
Yeah.
And he didn't make the cut. He caught 28 fish on day 2. Only 2 of them were keepers.
Wow.
So it was an all over the place tournament. Carl Jochimson, Falcon Pro, led on day 1 with 24. And then came in with like 11 on day 2. I mean, he still made the top 10 cut, but
right.
He lost 2 5-pounders. He had a snap come open on his glide bait, and the 7-pounder took the bait with him and was gone. It was just all over the place. In the end, Jason Christie, they call him one of the most feared men in bass fishing, and he is. I mean, that dude is flat good. Obviously, Bassmaster Classic champion, less than a month ago.
Right.
Really struggled at Santee Cooper. Finished way near the bottom of the pack. But he comes back on this one, and he ends up pulling out the win. He went like 16 pounds day 1, maybe 17, 20-something on day 2, 20-something on day 3, and then puts 15 on the scales. And really won because he did enough to overtake people when they didn't do enough, is really what it was.
Gotcha.
And he was completely surprised.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. You said he struggled at Santee, and then obviously pulled it out at Chick. And everybody talks about different lakes that are better suited for different anglers. I would have bet money at Santee Cooper that Jason Christie would have been there in the end. Really?
He's a shallow water guy. So if you fish Oklahoma, which is where he grew up fishing, he fishes like 10 Killer a lot. That's where he lives, in Park Hill area. And I've been on 10 Killer. If you're an Oklahoma fisherman, you spend a lot of time in brush. Stumps, shallow, dirty water. That's largely what you do. Yes, there's other kinds of bodies of water there.
Right.
But, there's a reason that those spinner baits with the red kicker blades, those fluorescent red, that's a Oklahoma thing.
Okay.
Because of the muddy water. And then there's a blade called an Oklahoma blade, which is a big thumping spinnerbait blade, or an Indiana, whatever. That stuff kind of started with becoming popular. I'm sure it was elsewhere too, but O.T. Fears is one of the first guys to do it. He's an Oklahoma guy.
Okay.
And so you get a chartreuse or a white and chartreuse spinnerbait with that fluorescent red. It's really a fluorescent orange with a gold thumper type blade on the back. And there's a reason, because Oklahoma's got red clay water. It's dirty a lot of the time.
All right.
Again, other places, but that's where that's where he grew up. That's how he learned to fish. I mean, obviously he's way more versatile, but that is him.
Okay.
He ends up winning by staying shallow and just doing his thing. And basically what it turned into, it was his smallest bag of the week, but he didn't fall off as much as the next guys.
Gotcha.
And so other people that were there I think the second biggest bag on that day was someone down low that weighed in like 13 or 14 pounds. But they were down like in 8th or 10th place or something. But everybody else that was around him, it was like 11 pounds, and they just fell off. But I caught up with him, and he told us what he was doing. And he's dang good.
All right. Well, let's check out that interview.
All right, Jason, second win of the year, first elite win this year, not your first elite win.
Mm-hmm.
What was your overall program this week at Chickamauga?
I was fishing up the Hiawassee, just fishing isolated cover, anything from docks, wood, and rock. Those were the three main things. But even if I just, saw just a dark spot down there, I was casting at it. But, the first 2 days it was kind of dock and wood, and then it transitioned over, I think because it got colder, the third and the fourth day to rock. Just throwing a spinnerbait, half-ounce booyah covert, following it up with a jig, same jig as the classic, 5/8 War Eagle Jiu-Jitsu, and then mixing a vibrating jig in as well.
What is it that made it seem like this tournament seemed like it was going to go sight fishing and then the weather changes? Is that what played into your hand, or were you planning on anything other than this?
I didn't get in the sight fishing game. I've just always believed on these Tennessee River impoundments that the big waves don't come up until they go back to summer pool. We're still at winter pool. I saw 49-degree water this morning in one place I was fishing, so there a lot of the fish that I caught were spawning, but they were left over from that warming trend the beginning of the week when we had practice. So, it's just one of those deals where things worked out. If you would have told me today coming in that I remotely had a chance to win, I thought you were crazy. I figured I needed over 20 to even be in the conversation. So, just one of those deals where it worked out.
What is it about you that you win a classic and then you have your worst tournament as a professional probably at Santee, which nobody could blame you for?
Right.
But you come in here and you still put yourself in a position to win.
Well, I'm one of those guys that's going to tell everybody, wins come when you least expect them. After practice, was I getting bit? Yeah. But I didn't think I was on the winning fish. The way the weather played out really helped me. Fishing got a lot tougher. Those big ones didn't show up. If those big Chickamauga bass would have played this week, I wouldn't have even had a chance winning in the Hiawassee. It's just one of those things where everything worked out. Did not lose a bass. Just everything worked out.
Give a tip for people in changing weather conditions like this. What's the best way to just be consistent?
When the weather changes, I ran the same program, but you want to experiment like the third day before it got cold.
So a little technical difficulty there with your live wells, and you got to keep those fish alive for your photo shoot. But changing weather conditions, what kind of tips can you give someone about dealing with that and staying consistent?
A good example was the third day. I caught them on rock, and my boat's set in 3 foot, and these fish were literally like back up to the rock, on the bank, 10 inches of water. And last night it got real cold. The water temperature drew. I didn't need to abandon ship and try something else. I think whenever the weather changes, you just need to fish with an open mind. So when I started this morning, I fished my bait all the way back just to kind of see where they were set up, and that's how I caught them, was halfway back to the boat today. So they're not going to swim out of the creek when the weather changes, but you may have to make some minor adjustments to get on the bite.
Well, congratulations on another big win, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, so that interview actually ended up being two different clips. Wasn't him. So what happened? What happened?
So here's what happens. Guy wins a tournament. The fans come to him and they want autographs and pictures and stuff. And then he does his interviews with Bass, because they got to get their press release out.
Right.
So when I'm waiting to do these interviews, I typically stand back and wait to catch them towards the end. What happens is after he weighs in, they keep the fish
right
in the tank, and then they set up with Seigo Saito, who's one of the Bassmaster photographers, to do his magazine cover shoot.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they go, when this guy's doing all of this interviews and all of these photo shoots and saying hi to his family, they go put the fish back in his tank, in his live wells. And Jason didn't realize that. So you couldn't hear his pumps running in his boat. You couldn't hear water sloshing. The fish didn't move. And he had to do a couple of little pictures for somebody. I don't remember quite who it was for, but it was a picture with his classic trophy and that, and he's now on like a little publicity tour that he had previously scheduled, but he added a trophy to it along the way.
Nice.
So they did a couple of shots, and then he said, yeah, let's sit. I'll just sit right here and do this. Well, as he's climbing in the boat, he just saw that his live wells was open, and he just flicked it. So we got to my last question, and all of a sudden you hear, pop, pop. We both stopped, and he's like, hey. So he had to back the boat into the water, which he was right next to one of the ramps, and he had to back his boat into the water and get the pumps turned on and get the water flowing. So he walked back up to in front of his truck, and we mentioned technical difficulty and
Gotcha. Well,
got the last question.
Well, so there's a good lesson. You win a tournament, and you got to do the photo shoots.
Know that Sego's going to have big fish in your live well.
Keep the water in the boat. All right. Well, so real quick, can you just give us a quick run through of kind of the tackle, the technique, and how that applies here locally, and then what do we got available upstairs in the loft?
It was his covert spinnerbaits. It was that same jiu-jitsu War Eagle jig that he won the classic on. I think a different trailer this time. And a bladed jig mixed into it too. But really what Jason did is he ran every piece of visible cover, rock, stump, brush, dark spot in the water, in shallow water, and he caught them in as little as a foot. And he just covered water and hit every dark spot that he could with those baits, every piece of cover, every dark spot, everything that was there. And I still, I'm learning, and really that I listen to what's being said by the guy I'm interviewing. But I asked him a question that I want to know in the end, which was, the adjustments or how do you stick to, and I don't remember exactly what the question was at the moment, but it was something that I wanted to learn because I'm 20 some odd years fishing in California. And in California, when I would make an adjustment there, my first thought was these fish suspended out over deep water. So a lot of times when I'm fishing here, I may think I'm shallow, but I'm not sure that I'm shallow enough.
Gotcha. And
so the thing that I would say on our rivers, Guntersville is going to be a little bit different. But if your body of water is a shallow water, much like we have on the shallow water fishery, much like we have here at the Coosa River, don't be afraid to go more shallow than you think. I mean, I've talked to guys after our last Coosa River, or in the city tournament, which, man, I spent my day fishing in 3 foot of water, and we caught a few fish, but I'm like, they're just not doing anything. And then I talked to guys that said they were going so shallow that they were kicking up mud and throwing further.
Gotcha.
And so that's what Jason did.
Well,
glide baits were big. The Storm Arashi glide was big. Wacky rig stick baits were a player, and bladed jigs like the jackhammer. The week kind of started out with the water being a little bit dirty. It was a kind of a dark green pumpkin, whatever. But by the last day of the tournament, there were a lot of guys throwing white too. So,
gotcha.
Well, just don't be afraid to go. You're going to get your trolling motor scratched.
Well, especially this time of the year, right?
Well, no, Coosa River is a shallow water. It can be year round. I mean, seriously, deep might be 3 foot.
All right.
But and I still run home to what my brain is programmed, and I'm still fighting it. So, if you happen to check standings when Dano's fishing a tournament and he's got 1 or 2 fish, or he's getting blanks or whatever, I probably ran home to old programming.
Gotcha. Well, so there you go. Get shallow, guys. I hope you got something out of this. Congratulations to Jason Christie for another trophy. And I don't know. We'll see. We got how many more tournaments they have?
The elites have 5.
5 left. All right.
And there's 4 more BPTs, and I think 3 more tackle warehouses, maybe 4.
All right.
So we've still got quite a few of these left to do. A lot of them obviously will be from the road because I'm going to have a really long stretch in the middle of the year where we're gone a lot.
Well, we hope you're having fun and getting out to all these. I know that's your your happy place, your your comfort zone, and you really enjoy doing what you do.
Well,
so,
I gotta say, I've gained. I didn't think I could, but I've gained more respect for these families and these teams, and the way that people on all circuits work together in doing this. I knew how hard they worked, and I had a lot of respect for them. But being in there and being around them and being in the campgrounds and around them every day, you get even a bigger, broader perspective of it. And I've got more respect now for this profession than I think I ever had.
well, that's awesome.
So,
Well, guys, I hope you again go check out the link, the tackle and stuff like that. We'll have it linked up in the description wherever you're watching this. And don't forget, we do a weekly fishing report on Saturday mornings that comes out. So check that out as well, particularly if you are, if you're in our region. But yeah, I guess that about wraps this one up. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Bucks Island on Tour. Thanks, guys.
peace.